I did that earlier, just got cleaned up, put my tie back on. We're all set now.
Very nice.
There's Joe,
Hi,
who
Leslie.
I've not met yet.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, this is Gary, Leslie. We're still getting people signed in. We do have a quorum though, so we can start at any time you desire. Just before we do though, the Smart Zone is requesting on the agenda if they can flip-flop number 3 and 4 to have Joe go first. And depending on, we do have a hard cutoff at 5, so we may not get to the other items. For the financial report, if we don't get to it, if they will just email the report to me, I'll send it out to everybody. And number 5 was just really nothing to do. I just really kind of wanted to explain the city's strategic planning process, but really nothing urgent. It's just an FYI.
Should we bump that up to number 3, Gary?
No, we can leave that at 5.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and if we don't get to it, that is perfectly fine. So I think that is it. Like I said, if we could just switch 3 and 4, I think that would make the Smart Zone people happy. And
okay, and we can, when we go, I'll announce that too when we go through approving the agenda, just making that quick change. I don't think there'll be a problem with that.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order at 4:01. And if we have anybody joining, Gary, you're keeping an eye on that on our waiting room?
Yeah, I'm admitting 3 others right now.
Great, thank you. We can kind of see our roll call here on who's on our screen.
Yeah, do you want me to do a quick roll call, or are you gonna do that?
Great, if you could, Gary.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go in the order that I have. So Mark Canale.
Present.
Margaret Brum.
Here.
David Rayomi.
He's there.
He's never
Dave,
always there.
Muted. Dave, you're muted.
Present. There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I saw him in. Dan Emmendorfer.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you. Bruce Heikela.
Here.
And Leslie, you're here. Brian Cherry, you're here. Jim Hewitt. Oh, I think Jim is just now signing in. And Steve Adamini. So I think Steve's the only one absent. So if we could get a motion to excuse Steve. I haven't heard from him, but that's what we normally do.
Okay, if I could have a motion, we'll excuse Steve.
Motion.
I make a motion to excuse Steve.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of excusing our absent member?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. And everyone should have our agenda for today. We are going to move Joe's Smart Zone update to number 3 on the agenda, and then we'll have Katie giving her financial report as spot 4 on the agenda. So if someone would like to move to make that change and then accept our agenda.
I move to change the agenda to make Joe's Smart Zone presentation number 3 and Katie's financial presentation number 4.
Thank you. And to support?
Support.
Thanks, Bruce. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. And I just want to make sure I take a minute to open up the floor for any public comment. If we have anyone that's joining from the public, I know I can't see everyone's faces here on who all is on the call. So I'd like to open the floor for any public comment, please.
Yes, one here, Ryan.
Greta as well.
Yes.
Okay, and so welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Gary, I might need a little support on this. I think everyone can have a few minutes to speak. They just need to announce themselves and their address. Is that correct?
Correct. We allow up to 3 minutes for each person to comment. And so whoever wants to go first, start.
I can go ahead. Britta Carlson. Address is 3194 Island Beach Road here in Marquette.
Okay, please proceed.
I just want to say hello and thank you. I'm Britta Carlson, one of the Smart Zone's clients, and I'm representing a healthcare startup called MedProShare. I want to give you all the support of the Smart Zone because the Smart Zone has supported me in so many ways through the protection of my company, which has now led me to the patent process, as well as into international patenting processes. And I want to thank them for the support that they've given me just in regards to competitions and pitch events. I'm now in the Michigan Women Forward pitch event, which is a competition that had over 150 applicants. And I've gotten into the top 10 and am presenting on February 4th. And then I also got into a national competition with Paulette's After Hours help and with Joe's help, running projections and financials. I can't thank them enough. And I want to thank you all for supporting the Smart Zone.
Thank you, Britta.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Brian Janowski, did you?
Yes,
speak?
I'm Brian Janowski at 11 Specker Circle, Marquette. I've been working with the Smart Zone for actually a few years on several different projects, and they've been extremely helpful with several different areas. For example, most recently, I did some branding for one of my companies, and they did a very extensive process, really asked a lot of good questions, and that led us to some very good logos that were created for it and other branding considerations. I've worked with them in the past. They've done some CAD work for me. We've been able to get some prototypes made for one of the projects, actually for two of the projects. One of them was quite complicated, and students did it there on campus. It was extremely helpful. More recently, well, also we've worked together with the Growth Wheel, which I also provide services to some of the clients that come through the Smart Zone. And I also hear from them how important it is just to get into the Growth Wheel process, which basically is a step-by-step progression, helping them evaluate and validate their project and getting it out to the marketplace. And that was helpful for me, and I know it's been helpful to a lot of my clients. I've worked closely with Joe also. I have one particular project that I've been basically getting ready to release to market, and I really planned on doing a whole e-commerce approach with it. Joe really helped with a lot of strategies as to alternatives. One of those was to go through a licensing strategy, and right now we're in some, I would call, pretty serious negotiations with basically outdoor company. Well, one is Fiskars, and one of their divisions for distributing the product, throughout the U.S. and Canada. So that's really exciting, and I have to hand it to Joe. That was a big help, and I really appreciate that. See, what else can I say? Again, I work with a lot of the clients that come through the Smart Zone, and they really need that direction. They really benefit from the direction, just on a multitude of levels. And I think it's just immensely helpful and beneficial to the whole community. So thank you very much. And thank you, Smart Zone, and
Thank you, Brian.
all
Thanks,
of you.
Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Are there any other public comments?
Gary, Doug had a question. He's a Negaunee resident and was wondering if he could make a public comment.
Oh, yes, sure.
Okay. So Doug, if you'd like to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Doug Lindblom. I'm at 109 West Arch Street in Negaunee, in case I still have to mention that. But anyway, unlike some of the other speakers, I'm just starting out my relationship with Innovate Marquette. I'm one of two people. My brother Phil is also on the call here today. We're the founders of MarquetteNow.com, and we have started a relationship with Innovate Marquette just recently, and we're really excited about it. I guess, from our point of view, it's been great to work with them just so far. Even though we've just started, we can already see the value that a partnership with someone like Innovate Marquette, the value that potentially could bring for us. They've been helpful already and kind of bouncing some ideas off of each other, and looking forward to some things they can do for us down the road. But even beyond just us, Innovate Marquette can provide an important resource for anyone in the community, and they're there for anybody, right? Really, who has an idea but maybe needs a little help. And I can speak, I think, for both me and my brother Phil, who is here, that is something that we certainly need. So they can help out in the many different fields, many different areas, and we're just here to voice our support for them. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that too. I'm Phil. I'm from 813 Clark Street in Marquette. And I mean, like when we started our website, like we had a lot of ideas, but we didn't really know kind of how to take it to the next level, keep it going, keep the lights on. And anybody can start a website, but that's kind of where Innovate Marquette comes in, where we say, okay, we have this and we'd like some help just trying to keep it going and keep it up, take it to the next level. So yeah, we appreciate what Joe and his team can do. And that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Anyone else for public comment today?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yep. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Jacob Soder. I've been working with Joe for a number of months now. I actually live in Houghton, Michigan. Our office is in the Lakeshore Center in Houghton. We've been working with the Houghton MTech Center for a number of years now, and I recently met Joe, and Joe has been very helpful. The Marquette Smart Zone has been invaluable to our business. They pushed us into, we're tech guys, so we don't really understand the business side. Joe's been very helpful. He pushed us into getting patents. I'm working with Brian right now on our patent portfolio. He's helping us develop our business, our brand. He's been a key member of our organization, and we wouldn't be where we are today without him. So I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing and keep it up. And working with Joe has really, the collaboration's been great for not only our Smart Zone up here in Houghton, but it's really bringing that relationship together, something that hasn't been as developed in the past. And I think it's mutually beneficial for all of us. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for your feedback.
Could the person that spoke before, Phil, could I get your last name, please?
Oh, Lindblom, Lindblom.
Okay, thank you. I just need it for the record. That's all.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Ryan is my name.
And Ryan, can we have your last name, please?
Yep, it's a doozy. Yakovaci.
Yeah, could you spell that one for me?
Sure. IACOVACCI.
Okay, thank you.
And I live out here in the Big Bay area, specifically in the Yellow Dog watersheds. And yeah, I also want to speak on behalf of the Innovate NMU Zone. I think that a lot has been said, so I don't need to, belabor the praises. But I'm new to the Innovate Zone. I've been quite skeptical of these kinds of incubators, and I have been made a believer in how fast the team moves. And specifically, I'm working to expand a mushroom mulch company. And, this was really an eye-opening process where Joe and the leadership team expanded kind of the schema into remediation as well as stormwater runoff, because the power that mushrooms and bryophytes and bacteria and all these, Mother Nature processes have to help us solve some of these major issues that we as a collective here in the Marquette area, and then as a broader community with regards to climate change, sequestering carbon, and cleaning pollutants from our groundwater, water runoff, what have you, that this is such an important piece to be funded in order for us to generate creative solutions to these problems that we got to turn around, as quick as we can. And I just am so grateful. And I wish, that there was, a dozen of these around in every community. These are fantastic incubators that make communities really fun places to be, and hopefully livable places to be.
Great.
Okay,
Well,
thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay,
Are there any other? Yep.
any other public comment? Okay, then I'll move into our new business. The first item will be approving our previous minutes from our last meeting. So did everyone have a chance to review that? And if anyone wants to make a motion to approve, I'll take that.
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thanks, Bruce.
Support.
Thank you. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. The motion carries. And then our next item of business is our electing our 2021 board officers. So I'll open the floor for some discussion on that. I know we have some new members this year, so I want to make sure that everyone is, welcome, and we encourage anyone that has an interest in taking a leadership role to express their interest, and I would welcome any nominations.
I nominate Leslie Hartman to serve another year as chair.
You beat me out by a second there. Support.
Chair for life.
I think there's a rule against that. Well, I would welcome if anyone else. I appreciate the nomination, and I would accept that. But if there is someone else that's in interest, I want to make sure that our new members do have the opportunity to serve. So if there's additional nominations, or if someone else wants to make a motion or a recommendation, I continue to keep the floor open for discussion.
Hearing none, I move that the nominations be closed and a unanimous ballot be cast for Leslie Hartman as chair.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. Do you want to talk about vice chair and our other positions, secretary and treasurer?
Place a motion on the floor for Jim Hewitt to serve as vice chair if he's interested.
Support.
Sure, I would accept the nomination. Thank you.
Do we want to complete the other positions? Any nominations for secretary?
Who is secretary now again?
Well,
I think it's Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce, at the last meeting, because Bob Esslinger had to resign from the board, Bruce wasn't at the meeting, but he was elected secretary. And
Well, I will respectfully decline.
Yeah, over the phone, Bruce told me he didn't want it. So it's open for anybody who would like to do it.
Well, it looks like we need to vote on the vice chair first and then address the secretary position. So I move the nominations be closed and then unanimous ballot be cast for vice chair in the name of Jim Hewitt.
Support.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 There, Jim, you just took me off the hook after 5 years as vice chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Please tell me I wasn't nominated for something because I had to take a quick phone call.
Yeah, you're the
We're
secretary
talking
now,
about
Margaret.
secretary now, Margaret.
We are, I nominate Margaret for secretary.
I just volunteered to help out at the Northern Vaccination Clinic. Don't make me get stuck with a needle that many times, okay? I think I was secretary last time. Anyone else? Hey, Bruce, what are you doing?
I'm on a long vacation.
Secretary only has to work if no one else is there to take the notes.
Well, normally the secretary does take the notes, but I mean, I'll be glad to fill in as best as I can.
Well, put it this way, I'll do it as long as Gary walks me through the first note taking and I have a chance to work with him one meeting at least, then I'll take over. How's that?
Works for me.
Stupid phone call.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to nominate Margaret as our secretary.
I already made that motion.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You said that right when she came back. I'm sorry. Did we get a support?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Motion carries. And then Gary, we have a treasurer, right?
Yeah, Brian Cherry is the treasurer.
Okay.
I mean, we have to reappoint him if he still wants to do it, but.
Sure.
It's not been a lot of work so far, so yeah, I'll go ahead and do it.
I feel like
I
we all
nominate
kinda
we
support-
reappoint Brian Cherry as treasurer.
and
They
I
won't
can
even let me touch the checks. I don't know what's up with that.
We can maybe add you as a second signee this year.
Motion.
Support? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the
Who
motion
supported,
carries.
who supported that motion?
Jim Hewitt.
Jim? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we're set there with our officers. Thank you very much for the support and for everyone. And we have some new faces joining us, so that's exciting. Okay, so I will turn the floor over to Joe. I believe everyone got the presentation that Paulette emailed earlier today. Joe, we look forward to your update today.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I was wondering if you were on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just trying to go back and forth between full screen and not full screen so I could get this operational here. Okay, well, I want to first thank the LDFA board for all your support, everything that you do for us. And I also want to thank everyone from public comment. That really makes me feel wonderful that we've made an impact on folks and they wanted to come and speak about that impact. And you know, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to make those connections. And so I really do appreciate that, you know, those comments and thank you so much. It means a lot to us. In the meeting today, our basic agenda, I tried to compress this down to be real specific for client updates, team update, goals and metrics. And I'm really trying to feel out, you know, really how these presentations will go in the future and the amount of time that we have, so we stay cognizant of that. We do have some offline stuff and conversations, and please feel free, anyone on the LDFA board, please feel free at any time to contact me for additional questions, comments, more clarification. I'm more than happy to do that, and I do hope, as I've stated offline, that we do continue to create strong relationships and transparency within, you know, the organization, myself, and our desire for entrepreneurial and economic growth of Marquette. The main updates for clients today, as of right now, 727 projects have come through the door. We're currently actively working on 30 projects. You met some of those inventors and entrepreneurs today. Really the main projects now, if you look at the project update, I wanted to give a good example here visually, kind of the level and scale of how we work through. You can see we've got logos and graphics and marketing materials and 3D models and early sketches. Also project plans, and then true pitch packages that our students are creating and Event NMU with our guidance. And you'll see a lot of the new ideas coming through are very detailed. We've basically revamped our whole entire process from initiation with the client all the way through. And you'll see later in the presentation what that process now looks like. And we're getting into some pretty detailed, exciting things. You got to meet Brian Janowski today for the Hitch Hatchet. As he said, he's preparing some serious licensing contracts and deals with a major outdoor recreational brand. In previous meetings, we've discussed our innovation bandwidths. Interesting, Brian's innovation falls within 2 bandwidths, outdoor recreation and limited mobility outdoor recreational products. You may have seen some of our marketing materials go out through the Wildcat Alumni Association newsletter, our newsletters, our socials. You'll see later in the presentation, those socials have been increasing significantly. And we're also seeing national communication back for that outreach. A few other projects here that I just listed that we're working on now, and you'll see these P1s and P2s and P3s now listed with all of our products and all of our projects. That is the location within the 4-phase innovation wheel that those projects are in. And you'll see in our metrics later on in the presentation how we track the speed of these ideas through that process and the metrics associated with it. Businesses, you got to meet with Jake from SwimSmart, also Britta from MedProShare. You got to meet also Brian, and his Janovation is another company that we're working on, which is an IP online innovation company that Brian has over almost 50 patents in now, and we're going to continue to build that. Also working closely with Back 40. You may from the city have known Back 40 previously. Dave O was the founder of Smart Zone. Came back to Marquette. He's got an innovation and testing, outdoor recreational innovation, accessibility and testing.
Sorry, Joe, to interrupt, but he's not the founder of the Smart Zone. He is the founding director of Invent NMU.
Invent NMU, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sorry, yeah, Paula, yeah. Yeah, Invent NMU, he created that and was the founding. So thanks for clarifying that. Rohana was a fun project, with the pandemic. They really had some issues with bringing people in and doing yoga and wellness at their local studio. So they're actually going online digital, and we're helping them transition to that. And as Britta mentioned, she made it to the Michigan Women Forward and also was invited to the Detroit Shark Tank. It's pretty exciting. There's many others. I just wanted to list a few. Cal Morris is a space junk recovery company that we're working with, and they've got some pretty big plans for the future too. So all breaking this down, you'll see we're breaking the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone more now down by ideas and businesses. And you'll see in the innovation wheel and the innovation process how those are separated, and we can define now clearly on the process for each. The team updates, we did hire a marketing communications coordinator, Kristen Johnson, a UP native. She's been doing fantastic. She started October 19th. And we're in the process right now of hiring an operations and finance coordinator, which is also listed as a professional assistant. That position replaces a former Invent NMU principal secretary and comes with that $20,000 of funding from Invent NMU. That's currently, we're searching for that position. Entrepreneur Outreach and Services, I'm still acting as the director of that area of the organization, and I also serve as the gatekeeper under the Gatekeeper grant right now. I have been working very closely with Catherine Senberg to promote her to manager and gatekeeper, and I think we'll be able to make that transition in the next couple months. And then we're developing a under the services coordinator position today, where Catherine Stenberg is. We're looking at not only developing that and continuing to have that position, but also to have that position be dual role in developing a product development manager position to mentor students in the design, prototyping, and manufacturing, and run a maker space in our innovation ecosystem, which we'll talk a little bit about a little bit later on, and what the innovation ecosystem is. and how that's all come together nicely here downtown in the city of Marquette. Team and grants. We did have a grant coordination contractor. She was great while she was here. We talked about that in the last meeting. And she's actually took a full-time position of employment within Norcross Group. You guys may know that's Norcross Group is a technology company for cybersecurity. And through our cybersecurity partnership with Northern, that position opened up and she was able to transition to that. Really, the main purpose of that position for us as a contractor was not necessarily to write grants, but to organize all of the Michigan, national, local grants that are available. And then so we can have a quick identification process for our clients to be able to jump in the database and find any grants that are available. And we'll continue to update that system. She did a fantastic job of creating that. Grant writers, we had a lot of conversation about this in our last meeting, Margaret especially, in the previous grant last year for the Build to Scale that failed. We've actually signed a contract with the Superior Watershed Partnership, and they have fantastic grant writers on staff. That is a grant writing assistance contract that if the grants are approved and we receive those grants, then they'll be paid a commission based on that. It is a non-paid contract if the grants are not received by us. And we'll continue to look for other good grant writers, and we'll talk a little bit more about grants in this next slide. So we did actually apply for a $750,000 EDA Sprint Challenge grant. We wrote that in-house, and we did submit in-house. That is a pandemic resiliency grant. It includes $750,000 of monies to support pandemic resiliency for local businesses. All of the EDOs in the local area, a number of them, you'll see them in a later slide, all came together and did actually promote that through support of in-kind contribution of $120,000. And together as a whole Marquette ecosystem, EDO ecosystem, we came up with a match together across that whole entire ecosystem. And I got support letters for the entire city of Marquette in terms of all the EDOs. So we are looking forward to that. That would be granted to us in the spring. It's $750,000 over 18 months. It basically builds a very, very strong training and support network for pandemic resiliency in the future for the city of Marquette and all surrounding regions. And there's plans for all of that. It's detailed. If you guys have more questions, I'd be happy to share a lot more about that. MEDC Gateway Representative Grant, it's $120,000 over 12 months. That's for the gateway and the gatekeeper. That's the position to reach out to the community through those grant dollars to really strengthen that community outreach and ensure we're getting out and getting a hold of businesses and entrepreneurs in the area. And we've got a plan on how we're going to maximize those funds. We do believe that we will get the extension for the Invent NMU grant. So in the beginning, when I first got here, we had some fears we would lose that grant and have to begin to drive Invent at NMU to become profitable. And there was some effort for that. And we did see we have a very high probability of getting that grant extension, and that with those funds, we should be able to extend the Invent NMU and Innovate Marquette partnership until 3/20/2022. Client applications in process, and we've got a number of them. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but these are all grants that we've worked with local community members and businesses to help support grants for them and help them build their businesses. And then the upcoming opportunities I want to spend the most time here. The EDA Build to Scale Venture Challenge was the grant that we applied for last year, $1.2 million. That Build to Scale grant really is the dollars needed to put together a very robust innovation ecosystem here in the city of Marquette. I'm sure everyone knows that Verdia Group is acquiring the Flagstar Bank building. In the previous grant, they had aspirations to build a new building at 4th and Main for an innovation ecosystem with all the EDO partners in the city of Marquette. This grant would drive dollars into an innovation ecosystem that would house all of the EDO partners in the city of Marquette and the county of Marquette into one building and create a true innovation hub there with all of those partners. And similar to the Sprint grant, we would write the grant together and those funds would support that innovation ecosystem. We did actually receive a $10,000 grant award for technical assistance through Reese and Corey, a Center of Rural Innovation. And that will be, they have a whole team of technical writers and grant writers and technical support to assist us in getting that grant this year. And we have a far more robust plan on how we're going to do that this year. We did last year. The EDA Build to Scale Capital Challenge. That capital challenge, again, we're applying for it in February. We're going to apply for both these grants simultaneously. That gives us $300,000 to build a venture capital organization, angel organization, and crowdfunding platform in the city of Marquette to drive dollars into rural areas and drive dollars into the city of Marquette through those three separate models. And we really have building those two together really shows not only are we going to have this robust ecosystem with an innovation plan, but also have a capital entity within there that can manage venture capital, angel, and crowdfunding for the entrepreneurs in the area. Those have been very successful. You look at Spark in Ann Arbor, many others. Really the key component to a very, very strong innovation ecosystem is a funding platform for those innovators throughout the innovation process, from when they start into crowdfunding, friends and family funding, into the latter stages of angel investment when those companies start to begin generating revenue, and then into venture capital through equity and then other large assistance. Those dollars right now haven't been cohesive or really organized in the area, and we're going to really do that and create an online platform for that to happen digitally, and then it's included in the pandemic resiliency dollars and then in the build to scale grant dollars. So those are super exciting. We start those in February. We'll be doing most of that heavy lifting in-house. We will have the Superior Watershed Partnership with us with each one of those, as well as Corey and Reese to support those, and then all the ecosystem partners will assist in writing those. A lot of goals discussion. We did kind of update our board responsibility statements. I'm not going to read through every single one, but you'll see some additional things. One major one for our board, obviously, the good stewards of our funds, to effectively manage the use of our funds because they're provided by the local community through the LDFA. This one really hits home. We've had a lot of discussions about it in maximizing these funds to support these young entrepreneurs and innovators in the area to drive their ideas into the latter stages of the innovation wheel to scale. When we get into the scale portion of the innovation, or the P3 and P4, that's when businesses really start generating revenue, and that's when businesses really start creating jobs. And I think that a real cohesive innovation ecosystem, along with a really great funding platform, will allow a lot more entrepreneurs and businesses to not fall off in the early stages because of capital need. So all of it is in collaboration. We talked a lot about the committees that we created within the organization, and I have a whole bunch of detail that I sent out in my email earlier. How these all function together. Really, it kind of flows like this. Executive and comp committee is myself and leaders of the board. Every single board member in my organization is engaged in the subcommittees, and that really based on talent pool. So what their talents and what their skill sets are to help strategically assist us in those committees, but also engaging each one of those committees is an area of the organization. So the executive and comp committee, myself and the board leaders are really the larger vision of the company. That 15-year plan, based on current market conditions and current opportunities and remote work, and we're being highlighted as the top 95 in the world for remote workers to come to City Marquette. We need to take advantage of that opportunity. So we look at that. We look at the cybersecurity initiative. We look at the big picture things, and then those big picture vision goes to the Master Strategic and Planning Committee. The Master Strategic and Planning Committee works with operations and myself to put together a strategic plan to be able to achieve that vision, but steps it back down to near-term, mid-term, and long-term goals to be able to make that happen. In conjunction with the Marketing and Communications Committee, which then builds the message around those things. How do we get out to the community? Let the community know what we're doing. You see our socials and our marketing outreach is up 200% in terms of click-throughs. Almost 383,000 people click through our information. So we're getting the message out there, and it's clear messaging about what we do and how we're going to do it and what these opportunities are for the city. And then you have the Finance and Audit Committee making sure that we have funds to be able to achieve the goals, and we're not going too far down one direction to not be able to support it. In addition to that, the auditing of the company and making sure that we're following it all the way through. So really looking at it from this perspective, you've got the team, and the team gets together, and we look at that at the team level. That goes into subcommittee. Subcommittee kind of rounds the edges on it, and really puts plans in place and puts metrics behind those plans. And then the board sees the big vision and they make sure that the main board objectives are being achieved, but the metrics allow that to flow all the way back down. So the board has their metrics and their goals, the subcommittees have their metrics and their goals, and then our team follows those goals, and all those goals, percolate back up to that big vision being successful. Crisis Management and Communication Committee really is a committee that's non-active unless we see another crisis. And we've had a lot of preparation there and things there to set. So that won't only be initiated in event of something unfortunate to happen. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Everybody can still hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Good
Okay.
report. Thank you.
Great. Yep. So, okay, great. So the CEO, the goals, make it Marquette. We have chosen, we had the movement we talked about before. We chose Make It Marquette, which we have hopes that Make It Marquette will continue to evolve into Make It UP. Make It Marquette and launching the movement is to attract remote workers and boomerangs, locals who moved away, who want to move back, to help Marquette's economy become more robust and resilient through economic diversity. Really, honestly, the remote workers have been here. We've seen it in the campgrounds. We've seen it in the local traffic. We have a movement now and an initiative now to reach out to many, many, many more and bring those remote workers and boomerangs back as most successfully as we can to drive, economic stimulus into the area. But also at the same time, we've had a ton of feedback from locals. Obviously, if new people are coming to the area, we have this really wonderful heritage here in Marquette. We want to make sure we maintain that heritage and do it. But right now with the pandemic and everything else, it really is, kind of pounding your fist in the desk and saying, we're going to make it here in Marquette. We're doing everything that we can to build that. I've got multiple PowerPoints that I can share if you guys want more information on this. Right now it's at the point of launch. We're launching the website on the 22nd, and we're driving that messaging everywhere throughout the city and throughout the nation through our PR partner. The other creating an innovation ecosystem. There'll be a lot of detailed slides to follow this. This goes back to the Flagstar Bank building and our collaboration there as an innovation ecosystem, and all the EDO partners, getting together in that space and really creating this innovation ecosystem that we've never really had before, and all the collaboration of all the partners in there, maximizing the resources we have. Right now, if you look at the city of Marquette, you'll see many, many EDO partners. It's kind of like a spaghetti, back and forth. What do we all do? And what we really are excited about in collaborating with all of them as a consortium is we can really pinpoint and identify what each one of us do very well. And with that, then we can really maximize that. And then that becomes kind of, the whole wheel of innovation. Each one of these components is there. So early on in the innovation process, certain EDOs are there to help support and promote certain financial structures and grants. We know what are there. Then as we drive around through that innovation process and become more advanced companies, then we can bring in other partners to help support certain things. And you'll see that this is the consortium today. We have a whole slew of partners here, and all of us. If you look at the last sprint grant, every one of these partners came in and supported that sprint grant and gave matching dollars and gave support letters. And we're going to do the same thing with the Build to Scale grant and continue to build those partnerships. Eventually into this consortium, we hope to have operating agreements between all the groups and a real key piece in that innovation process and business development process to ensure that anybody comes to Marquette, they come with open arms and we can make it here. It's really hard to attract larger companies or other businesses and new startups and entrepreneurs and inventors until you really have a cohesive ecosystem that can be defined and you can share that message and make that message clear of what we all do and how we all can support you. And look at the screen. There's a ton of amazing support here. If we can all get our hands together and get going in the same direction, which I think everybody in this slide would like to do, then I think that we can create not only significantly faster from idea, concept, incubation to scale, which is where it's that final phase is really where those jobs come from. We can accelerate that. But we can also create an ecosystem that people around the country look to and say, that's the place I want to go. They have all the resources for me there. So it's kind of the concept. The innovation ecosystem process. We have the make it theme. So it's make it work well, and make it work for all. And you see the P1, P2, P3, P4, prepare and predict, prototype and protect. And Britta talked a lot about that. People and partners, Brian, he talked about the partnerships and the licensing deals. And P4 is really where we want to get. That's that proliferating profit. Here we're starting to build people, and some partnerships. But here's really where that revenue is driven to the city of Marquette through manufacturing and through significant job growth. And so we really need to get to this. And I think the ecosystem all working together and having a solid process, resources and funds coming in will support all that. So we're really working collaboratively with everybody to do that. The hub itself, there's the Flagstar Bank building. It's a beautiful building downtown. It's unoccupied. I think that all the ecosystem partners can with collaboration can be in this space and really create an amazing ecosystem there for innovation. And we're going to really drive everything through this Build to Scale grant and Sprint grant and the capital grant to drive a ton of dollars into that organization. Right now, we're working on the site plans and developing some lease terms. And I know that Verdia Group's, they're purchasing the building here shortly. And we'll have some amazing plans to look at in the next meetings, as time goes on here. Any questions at this point?
I just, you're talking about using the Flagstar Bank for a lot of space?
Yes.
Okay, you were talking about a new building before, so is that kind of changed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this would be a redevelopment of this building to be the innovation ecosystem there, and renovate it and turn it into a Class A innovation ecosystem, similar to what you would see at a Spark. Having collaborative co-working space, having co-office space and hybrid spaces, and be able to scale and grow companies within there. And then the idea is, if you got a really robust ecosystem, you bring in a new company, say from anywhere else in the country, or a new innovator, you can help them grow the company, and then eventually you get to the point where they can move out of there and jump into a new office building somewhere else downtown. Whether it be new or some existing one that needs to be redeveloped, or maybe even further out of town. In the mall spaces and things, and really start driving that process. Having good capital, having the space to be able to do it, and everybody working collaboratively to get those businesses off the ground, and assist our local businesses as well to help them grow. You see that people can come in and out of that ecosystem as well from local business and get new ideas and get some assistance with maybe a new web design or go online, or all those things can happen there.
Thank you.
Metrics really driving all of this through the system. You'll see there's entrepreneur outreach and services. Our goal is to connect with a minimum of 60 new product clients, 30 by 4:30 and 60 more by 9:30, and we're right on track for that. A quick explore is a process we go through when we bring in a client into the organization, and then we actually not only have we made contact with them, but they're actually working with us and paying for services. You see 30 of those, 15 and 30 by those times. This is track and innovation opportunity clients and track and non-innovation opportunity clients. We do have, obviously the high tech and innovation opportunities, and then non-opportunities. We want to kind of separate those out so we can, focus on either independently. And that's really, they kind of go through the process differently. Connect with a minimum of 20 new business clients, 10 by 4:30 and 9, and then sign service contracts with a minimum of 10 new business clients from the local region. And then generate $60,000 of new revenue for Inventa NMU through the services portion, and then have all IMEC ecosystem partners under service agreements by 9/30/21. This may be aggressive, but I'm going to keep it aggressive. I really would like to get those innovation ecosystem partners at least under some type of operating agreements, and how we all kind of work and support each other and build each other up. Again, there's a lot of people involved, so we want to make sure we take into account everyone's goals and objectives, and really have those conversations over a long period of time to support each other and be in an ecosystem where we're lifting each other up and building each other up and strengthening the EDOs. And then the stronger we are as a consortium, the stronger that system becomes for new innovators and businesses in the local area. Entrepreneurial services, you'll see, you saw the innovation wheel through P1 through P3 and P4. This is really the acceleration of those ideas. Here's the ideas coming in, and we're tracking all of that, how many ideas are here, and then how fast they get into the system, right? And how many businesses growing and jobs are created, obviously, is the end goal. The the more robust the system, the faster we can get them through the system with the associated resources and things that they need, the faster they are to create jobs. So that's really this is the driving factor behind the speed through the innovation system to support that job growth in our metrics.
Hey, Gary, can we have a time check?
Yeah, it is. We got about 10 more minutes.
Okay. All right, so I'll zip through these last couple and then we'll. So metrics, Smart Zone high-tech clients. This is all of this information comes reported to us from all of our clients. We send out some information to them, some surveys, and then they send us back the information. And here's what we've gotten from April 2020 to September 2020. 5 advanced information tech companies served, 8 FTE W2 jobs created, $318,000 in investment in clients. All these numbers we don't have to spend a lot of time on, but it's important to see we are seeing job growth, and we are seeing a lot of clients served, both in the tech sector and the non-traditional clients through Adventa and NMU. The marketing metrics, this is really where we're really driving a lot of baselining. We've made such a huge impact on this. If you look at 353,895 social media impressions, that's 200% increase since April. That's really in the marketing department in our organization is doing fantastic. Nicole and Kristen are just they're just really cranking through and making a huge impact on that. And you see that in the community. I'm getting feedback all the time from the community of how much impact they've made. In the Return North, as well as in women entrepreneurship, on the love on local. I mean, it's just a huge amount of response through socials and through media. I know that we've gotten over 28 local businesses we've made contact with through socials and promoted through socials, and more than 15 of our EDO partners we've worked collaboratively with on initiatives and campaigns to drive that innovation and see Marquette and get that information out there. Especially with the pandemic resiliency grant dollars, work really hard on getting that information out to community members, and you see that in feedback. So we're gonna zero in on all these metrics and what they're going to be in the next marketing committee meetings, and then we'll have a real specific marketing metrics which we'll show to you in the next LDFA board meeting. So that's what I've got for today. Is there any questions on any of that?
Thank you very much, Joe. Does anyone have questions?
Very thorough report. Thank you.
Okay, well, I can turn things over to Katie. She's still with us for a financial update. Katie, you want to take the mic over?
Hi there. Yep, I am still with you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just first I'd like to mention that I really enjoyed all the public comment in the beginning. It's not very often that the board actually gets to hear from some of the clients of the Smart Zone and that, so that was kind of refreshing to hear all of that support. But anyway, as far as financials and that go, the first quarter are somewhat still in the works here, so I'm just going to touch on a few of the basic items on where we're at. The fiscal year ended 2020 audit is underway right now. Makala, Tutant, Nardi, Hill, and Katona, that firm is continuing to do the audit for us. They've done a great job in the past, and so far we're just kind of passing stuff back and forth. So hopefully at the next meeting we'll have an update on how that audit goes. Anyway, so for current position, right now the Smart Zone has about 1.2 million in cash assets. So far in the quarter, we've identified about 184,000 in expenses, and that's about 16% of the annual budget. So we're a quarter of the way through, and we've spent about 16% of our expense budget so far. Some of the additional funds that we received so far this quarter, we did receive the first half of the current Gateway grant. So that was $25,130. I believe we'll receive the other half, which will be the same amount in March, or No.
April would start the new grant. So I believe that this was the final for this current grant.
Yeah, it's not the 100,000 that they're currently applying for. This is the 6 months, which would be October through the end of March. So we've received half of that so far, and expecting to receive the other half soon. Other than that, we do still have the PPP loan on the books. We have not requested forgiveness for that. There's really no rush to doing that, but I would, I'm sure Paulette and I will get together soon and do the paperwork to ask and request forgiveness for that. They did come out with a new form. It's like a short form for those that received PPP loans under $150,000. So the Smart Zone would fall under that category. So we still have to make sure we have all the paperwork showing that, we spent it on payroll and all the, relevant expenses and that, which, the Smart Zone definitely picked that up on payroll. So, so I don't see any issues with the forgiveness there. It's just a matter of getting that application in. Other than that, I don't really have much else for you guys. So.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions or any comments on the financial report out?
Would it be possible to get a financial report, even if it wasn't a completed one, before the meetings?
Yeah.
I know you
that's
can't,
that we,
because the timing is hard to get it, but if we could get some kind of preliminary, even if it wasn't totally corrected, it would be nice.
yeah, absolutely. And it's something we've been kind of working towards, trying to get more up-to-date financials as we go. I mean, we have all the documentation and stuff, but just a matter of putting it together timely for meetings and that. So I'm hoping, maybe once we get that new operations and finance person, they'll be able to help myself and Paulette out a little bit. We're going to be transitioning the bookkeeping more in-house with the Smart Zone. Right now, it's externally done by me, but I just don't have the staff power to be able to maintain the books anymore, because there's a lot more grants and transactions. There's just a lot more transactions happening than 5 years ago when the Smart Zone first started. So it's elevated to the point to where we need somebody essentially dedicated to the bookkeeping, so that I can just kind of come in, do the accrual at the end of the quarter, instead of having to enter individual credit card charges and stuff like that. So that is something that we're working on. We're going to be transitioning, like I said, in-house to the Smart Zone. And so hopefully, yes, we'll be able to get you more timely financials for these meetings. So,
and Katie, I know we meet again in April. Do you think the audit will be finished prior to April, or I can't remember when that's usually wrapped up?
I think so. Usually she finishes it January and February.
Okay, so if you guys could share that with Gary, he can forward it to us. That'd be nice for us to be able to review ahead of our next meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. So.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I just had a super quick question, which could be followed up offline, just because I wasn't on the board prior to the PPP loan being approved and received. But I was just curious about the maturity date of that loan, and if there were no payments taken, is there a plan for the deferral time period? If there wasn't any intent to use the proceeds of the loan for payroll?
Are you saying if the Smart Zone decided to pay it back?
Right. Well, no. If you didn't need to actually use them, if you just sat on the funds themselves. So I didn't know again what the plan was. Maybe you have been using them the entire time. I'm not sure, for payroll expenses.
Yeah. Well, the entire amount has essentially been allocated to
It was already allocated. Okay.
the payroll that's been used, with exception to any payroll that was reimbursed by either a grant. Or, like Inventa NMU hires the Smart Zone, so we allocate a certain amount of wages to be reimbursed by Inventa NMU. So we didn't, anything that was, reimbursed somewhere else, we didn't allocate those wages. So anything that was just, leftover Smart Zone wages has all been allocated. So as far as getting like the forgiveness application in, we have 10 months as of the end of the 24-week period that it was needed to be used in to submit that application. And so the end of the 24 weeks would have been in October. So we have 10 months from then to get that in. So, but yeah, we've essentially already allocated those expenses out. So
Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Gary, do you want to take our last minute here and talk about the strategic planning process, or do we want to bump that into our next meeting?
Yeah, just real quickly, I just have a few seconds and we might get cut off, so I apologize. But really nothing for this board to do. The city is embarking on its strategic planning process for the years 21 through 23. And the LDFA and Smart Zone is included under economic development. So that's why there's really nothing for this board to do. Unless you specifically would like to see something, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll make sure we're taken care of. But since I'm the staff liaison to this board, I'm just required to mention it to you. That's really the gist of it. I included some stuff, but I realize you may not understand it, but please feel free to contact me and I will try to walk you through it, but there's really nothing for the board to do other than realize the city has started its strategic planning process. And that is it.
Okay, thank you for that update. Any board comments quickly here, and otherwise I can take a motion for adjournment.
Just one question. I was wondering maybe if possible to in future meetings, maybe do an hour for the business part, and maybe a half hour set up for questions from board members, because it gets kind of hard to do it within an hour, but you can get the business part done, and maybe another half hour would be some questions that people have.
Yeah, the reason we had to get off after an hour is the city commission is going to take it over at 5:15 for a work session. That doesn't normally happen, but it did happen the last meeting as well. So I apologize for that, but there's really nothing any of us can do about
Could
that.
we start it earlier?
It's up to the board. If that's something you want to do, we can certainly do that.
I'd be interested if we run into this situation again, and Gary's right, these work sessions, you don't know when the commission's going to schedule them, and two groups can't have the YouTube channel at the same time. But if it happens again, I would be more than interested in starting earlier so we have more time for questions and back and forth. I think the board would be interested in that, because these slide presentations are packed full of information, and basically I'm going to go through it tonight, and it'll come up with more, generate more discussion. So I would, if when it happens again that we have to cut off early, I'd recommend that we start.
Okay.
Real quick. Oh, sorry. Real quick. I figured out the issue of the doubled up meetings. It's just tonight we were tripled up. So next meeting, I'll make sure you guys have a priority and you'll be able to go as long as you need to. So
thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Any other board comments, or we can move to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn.
All right. All those in favor, and
Aye.
have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much.